Peace and blessings. It's Lotus Rael here today. As always, I like to start my videos with a little sage. And sage just clears the atmosphere of any type of negative energy, or it also just cleanses the space. It also ushers in the positive energy and it raises our vibration. So I like to start with a little virtual smudge. We call this smudging. So I do a little virtual smudge. You get some of that. Ah. So that we can have the most positive experience possible. And also I like to make sure that my own energy is clear and grounded and that my intentions are set. So I use my stage to set my intentions. And I always want to make sure that I'm not doing things just, because I want to do them. Whenever I make a video or I do something, it's because I genuinely know that I'm called to talk about it, but also I want to be in alignment with spirit. I don't do things for vanity purposes. I don't do things for attention. I'm not doing this. You never see me on Facebook or anything with videos and all that stuff. This is all new, and it's not because I have time on my hands. Well, kind of it is. It's because I know I do have extra time because in my work life before this, I work from home now. I had no time. So the things that I really wanted to do, like sharing this type of stuff with people, I could not do. There just wasn't any time. And it really, really, really created a physical imbalance and disturbance in my own being because that's what my purpose is. My purpose is to share and to teach and inspire and speak about all things that are holistic and spiritual, and I could not do that. So that was very difficult for me. And so now I do have a little more time. So with that being said, I just put that disclaimer out there or disclosure out there because I want to always make sure that I'm doing what I'm called to do, but my intentions are pure. And I want you to know that my intentions are pure because that's very important. You don't have to spend this time with me or receive this information. It's there if you want it. If you don't, you don't. Pass it along, please, to someone who else might be able to use it. So today, I said if I have a little time, I was going to talk about two things. First is I want to talk about the N95 mask and the importance of wearing them. Because there are a lot of talk out there about, don't wear a mask and all. You should wear a mask. If you can get one, if you have one, wear the N95. A lot of people, you will not have access to an N95 mask. The doctors, the nurses are in short supply. They don't have access to N95 masks. You certainly may not. And there are a lot of fakes and copies out there, and this is no shade or disrespect to anyone's hustle or grind or, wherever you go into the side stores or whatever. You need to be very specific about what they look like, and I have one here that I'm going to show you what it looks like. There's two types of the way they really look like, and there's a way you can tell if they're authentic or not. And then I'll show you a regular disposable surgical mask, which does not filter out the microcosms of a virus, but it can offer some barrier protection. What it can do is prevent someone else from getting sick if should you have it. The second thing I'm going to talk about today is the difference between antiviral pharmaceuticals and antibiotics, and natural antivirals and antibiotics, and what they do and what they can offer and what they can't offer. Because surprisingly or not, I don't think a lot of people are aware or educated about what actually is an antiviral and an antibiotic. I think people think they're synonymous, and they're not. They're two totally different things. They're two totally different things, and they do different things. And so I think that's important because a lot of people, I know our people don't have access to, some of our people don't have access, depending on who you are and what your socioeconomic background is, don't have access to good health care, don't have access to resources, and a lot of people are all over the world are in poverty-stricken areas, and they just don't have the information or access. And my reason for doing this is for those people, because those are my people. And those are the people I've always served since I was a 9-year-old little girl. or the disadvantaged populations. When I would go into, um, you know, the homeless shelters and serve, or when I worked for ESWA as an 8 and 9 year old girl working in the food pantries and doing phone trees back in the day, making cold calls trying to get donations. I did that type of work. I was a grassroots worker from the ground up. Did that type of work with my father when he used to do grassroots organizations and community drives and things like that. It's in my bloodline. So I want to make sure that our people have access to information that they might not otherwise have. Also, they are sending people home. They will if you don't have any, if you're not, like, you can't breathe and you're like need a respirator, or like you really have a very very high fever and you're like out of it, they're going to send you home. They'll send you home with a fever and tell you to take Tylenol, and that's why you see all these death rates. I've been watching this thing for a long time, and there's so much I have to say about it. I don't even want to get into that. I want to stay focused on what I'm here to talk about today, but I will say that we're not being given a lot of information. So I found out today that China skewed the numbers, and I knew the numbers were skewed because I've been watching this thing since December. And I had a mask in my bag. I had my green spray. Y'all know I talk about it because, this is what I've been using, forever, and it's worked for me. And I had my mask and my gloves, and my husband was like, "Why are we doing? We're packing them. You don't have to wear it, but I'm gonna wear it, and I'll make him wear it if I really came down to it. I would like really advocate it, but yeah, because I knew this was coming, and I knew when the nurse and the doctor whistleblowed back in December. The nurse whistleblowed in January, and she said there were over 90,000 cases of coronavirus in China back in January. So how in the heck does China only have a total of 70,000, 80,000 cases? Lies. So today on Apple News, I saw an article where they said they excluded over 43,000 that we know of, 43,000 cases of coronavirus, people who were infected that were asymptomatic. Now you might say, well, why is that important, Tanya? Like Lotus, Tanya, that's my name. Why is that important? Why is that important? Because that is pertinent information that they intentionally kept from the public, and they skewed their numbers so they wouldn't look as bad as they already did. We're not into blaming and calling this a specific type of name or disease or someone else's fault, but when something comes from your country of origin, there is a certain amount of accountability you have to take for the world, because we're in this together. And if you have information, that could save lives. So for months now, they knew that people could walk around and look perfectly healthy and have a few symptoms. And the symptomology is also important, because if we know what those little minuscule symptoms are, we know what to look for in ourselves and can try to get some help. They kept that information from us. So here you have people who are walking around sick, infecting the populace. This is how it became spreading. They had very few symptoms. They sent them home, and then they went and infected grandma, grandpa, uncle, cousin, or whatever, and then they got really sick, and then they had to go to the hospital because they were too old. But the advantage the Chinese has over Americans is that they have a 5,000-year-old proven herbal medicinal system that actually works. Our current medical system is based off of some of those herbological findings. I mean, we don't base our medical system off of theirs. It's very different. But we certainly, our pharmacological, our pharmaceutical knowledge of medicine came from that system. That's a fact. And they've been doing it for thousands of years, and they're good at it. So why is that important, you say, Lotus? Well, if you come from a culture that knows how to use medicinal herbs, that knows, how to clear heat in the body, knows how to clear inflammation, knows how to concoct formulas, then you do that. It's passed on from your mother to your daughter, to the granddaughter, to the aunts. Even the men, everyone knows. They know how to make a tincture or tonic. If you got something going on, they go and they brew up an herb and they give it to you on site as soon as it starts. So they catch it before it even gets to the lungs or whatever, and the outcomes are better. We don't have that information. And then when someone comes and try to give it to you, you look at them sideways like they don't know what they're talking about. But that's the nature of life. Like I'm just putting the information out here. What people do with it is their business. I just, I was livid by that information, because I know that was crucial information we should have had months ago, and they were more concerned about how their numbers looked, and now they want to be responsible and include those numbers into the total count of their infected population, which raises their total of infection to a significant amount of numbers, well over what we have. And that's important too, because the data is indicating that we're going to rise much higher. The data is indicating, Italy has risen higher and it continues to rise. This information that they withheld was absolutely egregious to me. It was something that, should have been put out there. And just like, they didn't, they were the ones who first started saying, don't wear the mask and all of that stuff. But if you notice, if you saw any of the Chinese and you saw the images on CNN, if you looked over there, everyone was wearing a mask. Everyone. And that's what you saw. I saw it when I was traveling to Mexico. There were people that from China, and they had the mask on. This was in January. I'm like talking to my husband, and then I looked at the stewardess, like, I asked the stewardess, why are they wearing a mask? Like, what's going on with that? And the answer I got was BS. But this brings us back to the whole point. I'm very passionate about this because I love humanity. I love human beings. I love people. I don't always like people. I'm kind of a hermit, and my husband is too. We like to, we like our privacy, but I love humanity, and I'm called to serve. That's who I am, and so I want us to win and survive. And I am livid when we don't think as a collective, and when we become selfish and we don't think about how to save lives, because every life matters. The elderly, the baby, the middle-aged person, no matter what race, color, creed, gender, whatever, we all matter. And it really upsets me that information was withheld, because we could have saved a lot of people had people have known, you could be asymptomatic and walking around and, going home and feeling fine for weeks, and then go infect grandma or go infect the 30-year-old who, for some reason, the virus is affecting them differently. I need to sage again, because that just took me there. But let's get into this video, and then we'll talk about all the other stuff. This is my protein shake. I have one, or I have a green smoothie every day. That's me. So, let me talk about the mask, the N95 mask. So I have one here. Now, this one is kind of bulky. It can be folded so that it can secure over your nose. And I'm going to show you how to put it on as well. And there's another one that's circular. You've probably seen them, like they look like little gas masks, and they're circular. I had those too, but I, gave them out to family members, and I don't have any more of those to show you. My daughter had one in her car. It's old. She doesn't use it anymore, because you do have to throw them away after a while. You can't just keep wearing them. So I don't have that to show you right now, but I have the other mask, and I have this one so that you can know the difference. But basically, the N95 mask, this is what they look like, or they like the little round ones that, they have like the little grids. I wish I could show you it. But how do you know whether or not you have an N95 mask? Okay, so the first thing is that they will say N95, but be careful with that, because it's not just going to be some weird stamp that somebody just put on there or marked on there. It's not like that. All of these respirators are assigned a code They are all assigned a manufacturer code. So they all have that. Like this one is from Gerson, that's the name of the company. They'll say N95 and they'll say particulate respirator. So I don't know if you can see that. All of them will say something similar to that. It don't have to be this brand, but they will all say that, and they will have a manufacturing code that you can trace back to the actual company. And not only can you trace it back, they will come in a box, which will be sealed for hygienic purposes. Like these are very sterile pieces of equipment that go into a hospital. So they are in a packaging that's sealed. They usually don't just come loose. They will not, because then they're not sterile. They will come in a box, and I'm not going to show you the box. It's not necessary. But this is how they will come. So you're probably wondering, well, how the heck did you get some? And we can't get any. I have my hands, well, because I am a holistic practitioner, and I am in a corporate, excuse me, hair child. Well, it's not mine, but you know what I mean. Because I have a holistic health business, and the nature of my business, I have connections. So I knew this was coming on, and also because of the nature of what I do, I see clients, and I have asthma. And so, sometimes things are not right, and I have to wear a mask. So I always have masks because I know what they can do to protect me as far as my asthma and my allergies. So, and even if I have a client that might be sick or come in, and I have an autoimmune disease, I have Hashimoto's, and I talk about that a lot on Facebook. I post all the time about it. So there's no shame. I talk about my health because I think if we share, and I can show some other woman or a man or whatever, and they might relate and they look like me and they might go get help. So that's why I share. So I had the connections, and so when I track everything, I'm a planner. That's what I do. So when I saw this coming, I'm also intuitive, and I had my dreams, and I was like, okay, Spirit, it's time. So I called up the connection and was like, I need some masks. How many can you get me? This is, and I got whatever was available. And at that point, there was almost none because they were being taken from around, like China was like taking them all. So there were none. We thought we had enough here. They were already on such low demand because most of these are actually made in China. Not all, because a lot of these are, but they're shipped. They're already in the United States. You're not going to get them and they're shipping them over now. So that's how I got my short supply. I do not have any for sale. I don't. Whatever my limited supply is what I have for me and my family. I knew this was coming, so I was able to get them. But I just wanted to show you what they look like so that you know, and you might be able to get them at some point. I understand that companies are making them, and they're gonna be available. So I'm gonna put this on, and you kind of like press it so that it wraps around your nose. I mean, I would put both of them on, but I have all this hair going on, and I'm not trying to do all that. And so you want to make sure that the mask is secure. If you have a beard and you are a man, it's going to be a problem. The mask is not going to, well, can you hear me? Okay. If you have a beard and you are a man, and I told my husband this, you're probably going to have to shave it down. Okay. Your life or your you wanting to be cute or handsome or whatever you guys say. Because the mask will not securely fit around your face. And then something can, particles can slip through. It's meant to designed to be a close fit, and that's how it should go around your face. It usually has 2 straps, and again, how you know it's an N95 mask is it will actually say on the mask N95, and there will be a code, and that you can that's the manufacturer code. You can trace that all the way back to where the mask was made. You can trace it back to the company, and it should have a company name. A legitimate company, so that you know they're getting a sterile mask. It should come sealed. It should come in a box. It should be packaging, and that's how they come. So I wouldn't mess with something that didn't have those things, and that you couldn't actually know the name of the company, punch the name of the company in the computer, and type the code in and find out where it came from. I wouldn't mess with it because it's not legit, and that's putting you at risk. Honestly, it really is, because Anybody can make a mask and tell you it's an N95, and the problem with that is that you're going outside thinking you're protected and you're not. And then you might take unnecessary risks and go out, because a lot of us don't have the ability, to go out and go to get a shopper for us. There's a lot of elderly people out there who they don't have access to those things. So please, if you have neighbors that are elderly, if you know people that need help, please try to help them as much as possible. Check on them, call them, see if you can do a little extra shopping for them. Take a list. I've done things like that well before stuff like this ever happened. Neighbors, they were sick and shut in, because we are all in this together, and we need to make sure that we're all looking out for one another. So that's the N95. I don't want to spend too much time on that, because I have a few more things to talk about, and y'all know I can be long-winded, and I don't want to do that. So the next kind of mask I'm going to show you is a traditional, just we call these, I guess, surgical masks. It's not really a surgical mask. The surgical masks are much different, but they're very similar to this. This is very paper thin. Particles can go through this. The difference between the N95 mask and this mask is that these, the N95 has a particular type of felt or coating that is designed for respiration so that you can breathe, but the particles are not coming in. And you're not also spreading them out, but you can still breathe. And the material is very different, and it's thicker, much thicker than this. It's very, very different. This is very thin. Viruses can seep through this. They absolutely can. But I mean, if this is all you have and this is all you can get, in which you might be able to get these, it is better than nothing. I mean, honestly, like, I saw a lot of the Chinese wearing these, and they did whatever. So you do the best you can. Like, you have to offer some protection. A mask is better than none. I don't care what anybody tell you, lies. So what I do when I go out to mask up is, especially with this, if you have this, this is a natural Lysol, a nature's Lysol is what I call it. And I'm going to explain why that is. This is not a pitch, because I don't need the money, and I'm just being quite honest about it. Like, that's not why I'm doing this, but it's like a nature's Lysol, and you don't have to get one for me, because after this week I'm not shipping out anyway. So, because I'm not gonna risk going out. I'm just not gonna do that anymore. I decided that my asthma was kicking up the other day, and I was like panicking, like, oh God, what happened? And I haven't even been anywhere. So, like, I'm in the house, and she's staying inside. I'm not even going to the post office. So, and I'm not going to put my family and ask them to go. So if you want this is the last week you can get it. It is definitely not a plug. I'm actually doing people a favor. Or I can give you some tips on making something, not this, but something that can help you. So, with this, you can't really spray Lysol on this. You can't be inhaling Lysol, but this you can inhale it. So I just missed it. 1, 2, that's it. And it acts as a barrier. This nature's Lysol kills anything on site, viruses and all of that. They're killed actually very easily, depending on what you use. And these are powerful antivirals inside of my green medicine. You put this on your face, you're good to go. And you can even just mist your face, which I do all the time. I just mist me and put a little barrier on me, because these monoterpenes will stick to your facial area or whatever. And if something comes into contact, there you go, just blasting it. And I do that on a regular basis. That's how I kept myself from getting the flu for 27 years. And my kids have never had it. Also, I do the same with the N95. I don't care. I am always on guard. So I spray this as well. And that's that. And then the problem with these masks, whether you spray them or not, you can't keep them forever. Like, there's doctors that were wearing them for weeks at a time. Like, that's completely unsanitary. It defeats the purpose of having a mask. They should be thrown out. But the shortage, people were still wearing them. At least if, I don't have a lot of them either, but, we're not out often. I can spray my green spray, green medicine, and kill off anything that's on there, and could reuse it if I had to. Um, but I wouldn't even trust that for so long, because if there's something there and it can hang on to the surface, and there's so much we don't know about this situation, that and misinformation, people not giving us information too, like the new information just came out. We're not being told everything. So I still I don't trust anything that's being said. I trust what I know, and the information I have, and then I'm researching and getting by the pieces. But I don't, y'all, stuff is just not. And I'm not into conspiracy theories or anything like that, but I know what I know, and I know that something about this is not right. So, yeah. But anyway, I want to explain to you guys the difference between antiviral medications and antibiotics, because they're not synonymous and they're not the same. And I think that's important because, again, a lot of people will go to a doctor when they're on their, their way out or whatever, and be like, oh, give me an antibiotic. Or when we got a cold, oh, give me antibiotics. And and I always laugh when people say that. I'm like, don't these people know that antibiotics don't cure colds? Don't people know that there's no medication that can cure the common cold? Just like people say, oh, I went outside and I caught a cold. You don't get a cold from going outside in the cold. That is the old wives' tale. It's not the truth. Colds are viruses. There's no cure for a virus. Your immune system has to fight off a virus, which is why HIV was such a horrible thing, is because that's why there was no cure, because you can't cure it. Your immune system has to fight it off. And what did HIV do? HIV did, it destroyed people's immune system. So the very thing that could have protected them, it destroyed. So that's, and all viruses work the same, but that, their mechanisms work the same. So let's talk about what they are. And it's, it might sound a little scary and daunting, but I always believe the more you know, the more you grow. And the more you know, the more you can protect yourself and protect your family. You don't want to be ignorant and walking around not knowing stuff, because that's how we kind of get into the messes that we do as a community, is we don't share information and we don't know anything. And then when somebody tries to tell us something, that looks like us, we ignore it. So, like I said, you can eat the meat and discard the bone, folks. I'm, not here for all of that. So I wrote some notes down because I'll just scatter and keep talking, and I want to stay on point. I really just want to focus on what we're talking about. So, antivirals. These are drugs that they treat people who already have a virus. So you have had to actually have contracted whatever type of virus, Epstein-Barr, coronavirus, cold, whatever, and that's what they use to target the inhibit or they use it to target and to inhibit the development of the virus. So antivirals do not kill a virus. The only thing they can do is slow down the virus. They can inhibit the growth and development of the virus, but they cannot kill it. Your immune system is the only thing that can fight it, which is why strengthening your immune system is the best and the only thing you can really do. Well, there's other things you can do, but that's the best. So that's why I'm all for that. Also, viruses have few biochemical mechanisms. So what a virus does is enters a host. So like we would be the host. And it uses our cells for its life purposes. A virus does not have a biochemical mechanism of their own. Like they aren't able to multiply themselves. They use our cells to multiply themselves. So what they do is they use our own body against us. How wicked is that? Sounds like a vampire, right? Yeah, that's some real vampire-ish stuff. So they enter the host cells and use those cells for their life purposes. That's what they do. And then viruses use the host cells to replicate itself. That's how they do. They use it to replicate themselves, and then um, they multiply that way. They use our cells against us. The problem with antivirals and why they're so difficult to manufacture and to figure out is because it's very difficult to kill something if it doesn't have a target without harming the host cells. So if it uses our cells and becomes a part of us, um, then how do you kill it without killing the person? So that's the big conundrum with antivirals, and that's why for decades we have not figured out how to get rid of them. And that's it. There's no big mystery there. That's an antiviral. Um, those are medications that are used to inhibit the development and to slow the virus down. That's as much as they can do. So if you go to the hospital in the ER and they're using the malaria drug, which is an antiviral, or they're using some HIV drugs, which are antiviral to help with this disease, all it's doing is slowing it down, and they're inhibiting the growth of the virus, which, slowing it down is better than nothing, but it doesn't destroy it. Your immune system has to destroy it. So, and your immune system has to be able to ward it off. And I'm not so sure if it ever leaves your system at all, if it becomes a part of your cells. How does that happen? I don't have the answers for that. I just know that your immune system is what has to destroy it and get rid of it, or make sure that it doesn't come back to bother you. And it actually does become somewhat a part of us in our immune system, because that's how we develop antibodies. Our bodies fight it off because our body's already attacked it. It recognizes it, so it sends the antibody cells, which have a part of the virus inside of it, to attack the virus again if it comes back. So they come into us and don't leave, man. So you need to, know how this thing works. And I thought that this is important because if you go to a doctor and you're sick and you ask them for antibiotics, it's not going to help you. And I just want people to be aware. So what are antibiotics? Antibiotics are medication that actually destroy bacteria, and they can also slow down bacteria, but they destroy the bacteria. That's the difference between an antiviral and an antibacterial or antibiotic. Is antibiotics actually destroy the organism. So if you have bacteria, and it only destroys bacteria, does not destroy a virus. They are two different things. Bacteria can multiply on its own. It doesn't need a host to multiply. You can get a mold tray and the bacteria just growing everywhere. Fungus and all that stuff. Well, that's a little different biochemical mechanism, but the bacteria can just mushroom out of control. It does not need a host cell to do that. Viruses need a host cell to multiply. They use your body cells against you, and they destroy the body cells. And with this particular one, it attaches to the lung cells, and it destroys it and creates a horrible, horrible, wicked disease. And so, we want to prevent that. So that's what I wanted to share is, the differences between those two things so that you would know. And that brings me to natural antivirals and what's the difference between them and what scientists currently have today. So, it's a lot, y'all. I be wanting to share. It's so much, but your girl getting there. She's getting there. Let me just take a deep breath. That's refreshing. Why does this keep going out? So, natural antivirals, the difference in what they do is they've been around for a long, long time, and we have a lot of them, more than what we have in our current pharmaceuticals. Natural antivirals actually inhibit cell development, and they keep the cell development. It inhibits the virus from attaching itself, and it breaks down the proteins inside of the virus and keeps it from multiplying. And it does it very harmoniously and naturally. They also help the body's own immune system to fight the virus. So natural medicines work in two ways. natural antivirals. They work to help the body's own immune system to attack and fight the virus. They help to break down the virus's ability to actually attach itself to healthy cells in the first place, and then they inhibit the development of the virus. So they have a three-pronged strategy, and they probably do other things as well, but that's what I know that they do. And they're good at it, and they've been around for thousands of years. The Chinese have had it. Other cultures have had some of this information, and they use them very well. Are they a cure-all or a panacea? No, there's no such thing. Everybody's different. There's no wonder herbal you can take. Everybody is different. People have different kinds of immune systems. Some people have compromised immune systems. People, have underlying health conditions, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, asthma, all kinds of stuff. And these all play or correlate as comorbidities, and they affect the outcomes of whether any type of treatment or medication or a solution would work. So nothing is 100%, but I would put my money on the 5,000-year-old medicinal science that's been proven rather than the antiquated information that we have today. We haven't gotten anywhere in 50, 60 years. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've made a lot of medical strides. I am not knocking Western medicine because we need them. And they are saving lives every single day. Please do not get me wrong. I go to my asthma allergy specialist all the time, and I am grateful because 20 years ago, we did not have some of the asthma medicines that we have today. And your girl was in the hospital every year of my life until 2002. I was hospitalized every single year of my entire life. I am 47. I did not stop being hospitalized for asthma until 2002 when they changed medications and they figured out how to combine two different types of medications to control asthma. And I tried everything, natural medicines and things like that, but I really wasn't as astute at that particular time. When I was much younger, obviously, I didn't have the information and access to herbal medication like I do, herbal, medicinals like I do now. And I do use those, but I didn't have that information. You're talking about 80s, 90s. I didn't have that information. I had knowledge of herbals, but not the specific ones of Chinese herbals because they're very different. There's always been herbals. Everyone uses medicinal herbals. They're European herbals. There are, Asian herbals, and there are herbals that are akin to the United States. And so I had the information that was here. I didn't know about Eastern medicine. I didn't know about that stuff. I learned that later on in life, much later on in life. And when I did, it changed my life. I can tell you some miracles that have happened in me personally, but this is not the place or time for that. And I'm not putting in a pitch for any of these things. I just want people to understand there is other information out there that can help you and that can help you and your family survive. So I gave a listing of quite a few medicinal herbals that you should be taking right now to help boost your immune system because they can help you. Start with it like, this is just turmeric, but this is turmeric. But I showed you guys the garlic. I showed you guys some of the other stuff. This is also celandine and turmeric, things like that. But I also showed you guys, I made a listing on my page, and it has all of the Chinese herbals, European herbals, but mostly Chinese herbals that you can get. You can go to an agent store or go online. You can get them. They're out there for the boosting of the immune system, because one is prevention and the other one is to actually help you fight off the plague. I call it the plague because that's what it is. Should you get the plague, that can help you, and you don't want to wait. When you get that tickle, attack. You feel something off, attack. Your body will let you know if you're in tune with it that something's wrong or something's off. You'll start to feel funny. Like, when you're getting a cold or you're coming down with something. you start feeling tired and fatigued, and you might be hot, a little more, heated or short-winded. You know your body, and if you don't know your body, then use this time to get to know your body, because you're gonna have to, moving forward, know your body. So that's all I have for today. It's supposed to be a quick video. I never can do it under 40 minutes. That really is like, God, that's my challenge, is to get a video for 30 minutes and be done. But we're gonna be out of time today. So that's all I have in this portion of the wellness series. The next video I will be doing is to show you some actual herbal medicine making. Very easy stuff. We're not going to get into the serious concoctions and my potions and all of that stuff. We're not going to do that, because that's too much. And I don't even know how I'm going to get the camera to do this, but I'll try to figure it out. So we'll be making elderberry syrup, which is very good for the immune system. And we'll be making a healing salve for the lungs. You can put it on your chest and in the back lung area. Very, very good for your breathing. Very powerful and potent salve that I've been making for a while. And so I just want to share with you those 2 tips. So again, my intentions is to share information that can help someone. Pass this along if you're not interested. But I just want to be a blessing to others and my community and humanity in general. I love you all, beloveds. Please be safe, mask up, have a beautiful, beautiful day. Try to take care of yourself, get rest, boost your immune system, take your vitamins, get sleep. I know people can't sleep. Do some meditation. I offered meditation tips in the last video. I'll offer some more of those in the future. But I'm always going to try to give something that can help us through this very, very trying crisis, because I feel like, we're in it together. We are in it together, and I'm here with you. And I love you. God loves you, and so do I. Namaste.